Off Day is a short visual novel with about 20 to 30 minutes of playtime. It was created by a team of 7 people and published to itch.io. The downloadable versions include both Windows and Mac OS, and the game can also be played inside a browser. The game is controlled solely with a mouse. What makes this game so special is that it paints a clear picture of mental illness, yet it doesn't dive into a dark narrative. In fact, Off Day is overwhelmingly positive. Off Day begins with the main character, Melody, being awoken by her dog named Bao licking her face. Though hesitant to get out of bed, Melody sits up and takes in the items of her room, deciding to think about what she is grateful for today. Once getting out of bed, she goes to the kitchen to meet her roommate, Juniper, who is just about to leave for a week to go visit her family. The third and final scene takes place in the kitchen, where Melody has broken down crying at the crushing sensation of loneliness that she feels, with no one else in her apartment but Bao. However, Juniper calls Melody and it brings her out of her depression, at least for the moment. The game ends on a positive note. Roll credits. So, now that we have the plot points out of the way, let's talk about what really makes this game enjoyable. Down to the last detail, Off Day is a perfect depiction of what life was like during the COVID-19 pandemic as someone with a mental illness. These hints are subtle before the kitchen scene occurs, and to someone who knows these struggles all too well, it becomes very obvious that Melody is struggling with a depressive disorder early on in the game. The first big clue is Mel's struggle to get out of bed in the morning. This makes up one of the game's 3 scenes, so it is very prominent in the story and impossible to miss. Before long, the game prompts you to make a decision between 3 statements after an item is selected by your cursor. The game asks you to decide what about that item you are grateful for. As far as I know, these choices do not impact the game's story, but they are important nevertheless because they make you stop and think. The game forces you to ponder, if you were Melody, why would you be grateful for your bed? Or another way to think of it, why are you grateful for your bed? Perhaps what is even more important than these ponderings is the fact that Melody stops to take a picture of these items. Each picture serves as a visual reminder of gratitude. During the next scene, we get to meet Juniper, aka Junie, who is Melody's roommate. Their relationship is unambiguously platonic, but it is an extremely close and gentle friendship. It's reminiscent of found family tropes, one might say. In all honesty, seeing such a pure and heartwarming friendship in a game is a big relief. It feels genuine and real. There is no toxicity, there is no forced feeling romance, there is no misunderstanding between the 2 girls. There's just a sense of harmony, a sense of well-being, a sense of rightness that cannot be put into words. The title Off Day is a double entendre. An off day could be considered a day on which one does not have work. Since this story takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's implied that Melody currently works from home, she has likely taken a day off in order to see her friend Juniper off on her trip to visit family. On the other hand, an off day could also mean a day during which someone feels low or upset. This ties in perfectly with both main points of the game, with the friendship of the 2 characters, as well as Melody's depression. The final scene of Off Day is what really drives home the message of the game. This entire time, Melody has been trying to look for things which make her grateful. She's been pretending that everything in her life is all fine and dandy, and hasn't stopped to think about how she really feels in the moment. The final scene, which takes place in the kitchen, starts off with a far different tone than the other 2 scenes. The lighting has changed. The music has changed to a more melancholy and slow piece. More importantly than that even is the way that the dialogue changes, as well as the way Melody is thinking. In both of the first 2 scenes, the game asks you to select objects and then say why they make you grateful. In this segment, that mechanic has not changed, yet 2 out of the 3 potential answers are negative as opposed to positive ones. In my playthrough, I chose the positive thoughts. I'm not sure if what you choose changes the ending, but in any case, I'm happy with the ending that I got. At the end of the game, after Mel has had time to sit and cry and let her emotions out, Junie calls her on the phone to check on her, which is indicated by a phone ring sound effect and the screen lighting up. Once the player selects Melody's phone, the final dialogue plays. During the final moments of the game, Melody is reminded of her reason for living, her reason for being, and that is her relationships with others. That is what makes life worth living. Throughout the entire game, even at the fastest text speed, the words slowly scroll across the screen. Off Day forces the player to slow down, stop speed reading, and really take in what the story has to say. There's something deep and profound about that in itself. In today's world, as I'm sure everyone already knows, we are constantly in a state of hustle and bustle, of rushing from one task to another, from one place to another, from one day to another. Even in our games, we tend to expect a fast and snappy plot, a quick text speed, and something easily digestible. That's not to say that these expectations are a bad thing, and a lot of it comes down to personal preference. But even short games such as Off Day can feel longer. They make you stop and think about the nature of life. Not just the character's life, but your own life. And that's why the slow text works so well. It cues the player into this without words. From the text speed alone, you can gauge the mood and message of the game. And that message is, slow down, take your time, appreciate life for what it is, and don't let your expectations get ahead of you.